let me pull up the sweetest, the most melodious sounds your eardrums have ever heard. George, too bad. My show, my rules. Yes, sir. News too late. We're gonna play half of it though. I'm gonna give you guys what you want. I'm gonna play half. What's going on, y'all? Ha ha! You guys should be jazzed up. You want some bombs? I'm gonna bring you some bombs. I'm gonna bring you things that hopefully, if you've been in this investment, you've questioned. And hopefully, if you have not, you will now. So, let's get straight to the news and let's get to these bombs. Okay, I can't see you guys anymore, so I'm going to go straight to it. I'm going to bring you what I know, okay? So, we'll have to keep all of this till the end. So, I want you guys to understand, okay? Hold on, maybe I can do something here. Hang on here. No, this is the real up. I wonder if I could add a screen here. You can't stream. I wonder if I could do a split screen. Okay, never mind. Okay. So this is the real holdup, guys. If you take the UN report and use it as a reference, there are articles and there is actual evidence inside of that UN report that give you strict evidence that Article 140 is not only not in the budget for 2020, but they've ongoing been doing a census. And I have the chart and I'll post it to you guys, but they have the census chart where they've actually started and piloted census pilots. So a lot of people don't understand. The way 140 works is like this. First of all, you have all these displaced people. You have to have a census of where these people are and what they're doing to get them back, to give them an amount of money so that you can fulfill part of your constitution. This is a constitutional obligation by the country. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's not a want by the Kurdistan region. It's a need by the Constitution to make them whole. But not only does that census launch a small market frame for that northern section of Iraq, but what it also does is it teaches them a census for all of Iraq for the HCL. But to have the HCL, you have to have a group of laws in place to protect Iraq from predators, okay? I'm going to show you how. Now, first, Article 140 is in the budget. How do we know? Because in the UN report, it says explicitly, the package included the establishment of the High Committee for the Distribution of Residential Land that would be chaired by the Prime Minister, as well as measures to encourage the youth and employment. Now, that was on October 8th. On October 24th, the Prime Minister delivered a national televised address, which he pledged to undertake further reforms, including the appointment of a new ministers based on competence with stronger presence of women and younger people, the reduction of senior officials' salaries, including those of the Prime Minister, President, Speaker. Now, they went from like 300 and something down to 200 and something. They cut a third off. That's something a lot of people don't know. That's in here. Now, the important thing is on October 25th, they started the Governmental Electoral Constitution for Reform. Now, I told you guys on YouTube, all that really means is they're going to start an electoral college. I've got the diagram for it. It's going to be the thumbnail for tonight. You can study it. You can read it. I'll send it to you guys as a regular piece if you want to, as a JPEG, but it's going to be my thumbnail. Okay? They canceled the state privileges of the officials. Now, the president, the 3 presidencies, there's no more homes stuff. There's no more food. All that stuff's out. Now they're like regular citizens, okay? The thing they have to get rid of is sectarianism, okay? Now, a new comprehensive electoral framework, the current Independent High Council Commission. Now, that commission is going to be the commission that adoption of new laws that approve the holding of early elections, okay? That's important because how they elect a new government is as important as the new government that is elected, because that government will not be based upon blocks. It will be based upon population, just like it is here in America. Your populace is greater in certain provinces and tribes, you'll have more seats in parliament, just like they do here. You know all that. the government had yet to reach census on several positions on state functions, including the Minister of Education, the central bank governor, and the audit commission. Now, remember I told you it's important that they name a new central bank governor because the central bank governor they have right now is in proxy, truly is in proxy, because he shall be replaced. Now, getting back to the census, they must have activated certain crucial laws and established an electoral college. A census we know it was made in November because why? It was on the Minister of Planning's website. The success of a census pilot in Anbar province, Balton with Census, Kurdistan Region Authority, Central Bureau of Statistics carried out in training course for the survey towers, the internet private sector for the year 2019, not 2020. They did all this in 2019. That's why I tell you this is going on now, okay? The Central Bureau of Statistics will hold a special session and general census population for the next 3 days, okay? And that was on the Minister of Planning. Now, next to that, President Saleh discussed with the UN representatives and ambassadors, Russia, EU, reform strengthening, blah, blah. President Saleh received on Monday at the Peace Palace in Baghdad special representation, the Secretary General from Iraq and European, blah, blah. During the meeting, they discussed international support for the enhanced security, stability, and reforms in the country, as well as ways of enhancing bilateral relations to achieve common interests. They also reviewed the latest political developments on the regional and international arenas. The Minister of Planning on Monday discussed preparation for the completion of the census. Now note, why would you have completion of the census if they just told you the census was not complete or to be launched in 2020? They already launched not just the provincial census, but they launched the census in all of Iraq. That covers Article 140 and that also covers the HCL. Now watch. While the ministry confirmed that all the trainees will carry out the experiments on the implementation of the census during the next week. Now that, I missed the date on that. That was in November, okay? Now, if you go down a little bit further, stressing that the general populace census for housing will be complete in 2020, okay? Now, if they were not supposed to have conducted census for the above said article, why are they noting that the census is not only complete, but they will have further housing complete, which was one of the demands of the protesters to be demands that were done, right? So how did they get that done? They hadn't been able to complete a census in 15 years, but all of a sudden they got it done in the month of November, and it's accurate based upon internet data. Remember we talked about those chips having those phones and how the internet went up and down? That was their spell check. All they did was ping all those IP addresses. It went into the cloud. They logged it all, and that's how they got a general census. Now, a general census, it doesn't account for kids without cell phones or fake IP addresses or dummy phones, but it's a general census. They don't need exact numbers. They need a base. They need what they call par level so they can pay the people. Now, the House of Representatives Media Department news monitoring issue on Tuesday, the 12th, the 2020 budget is almost done. Now, note that. This is in the UN. The 2020 budget was done on the 12th. We just started talking about this 2 weeks ago, but it was done on the 12th. Resignation of the government will not hinder its arrival to Parliament. The 2020 budget is almost complete, and it was hoped that the government will send it to Parliament Finance Committee this week. That was the 12th, but the resignation of the government will postpone the arrival of the budget. So they knew that Mahandi was going to quit. That postponed the budget. He added the government will send the budget to Parliament, which does not contradict the law, even though it's a caretaker government, because it prepared the budget before resigning. Before! One and only one operation, same paragraph, the budget 2019, then approved the budget 2020. I told you, it's done. And in that budget, since they concluded a census, now they did not state there was no HCL, but they concluded a census for the Article 140. You see what I'm saying? So they know what's going on. So they know the census is in place to hold the budget, which takes into account Article 140. And I would assume the Electoral College and the HCL for population accuracy and the immediate activation. Okay? The whole while the UN does not yet to find consensus on a CBI governor. Remember, we talked on YouTube many times about Ali Al-Alaq and his absence. Here's why he's not proxy. But with balls, he's got big brass balls because he put his name on the currency. His signature is forever etched in Iraqi history because his name's on the currency. So Ali al-Haq, even in proxy, if he had giant kahunas, could set this in motion with one fell swoop. Now, the last law. This is the thing that is the key, in my opinion, why you don't have a reinstatement today, right now. Okay? You're missing Article 8 compliance. You have to be Article 8 compliant to be international, okay? They state in this article on December 1st, and I'm only going to read you one paragraph, because if you guys were watching on the Wednesday show, I read the whole paragraph, but I left out one complete paragraph on purpose just for this show, because I knew that this was the bomb of all bombs. This is the reason why we have been sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting, and some of us being like, but most of all, this is the reason why you are sitting here right now. In the light of the preparations that took years in the banking sector, which formed a performance infrastructure after the entry of a large package of electronic payment systems and the adoption of international standards in dealing specifically concerning the monitoring of phenomena on money laundering, remember, can't have any corruption, the banking sector is ready to receive an influx of foreign capital is excellent, while the security regulating the possession of weapons and the law regulating the work of security companies in the country, that's ISX, and the application of laws related to the regulation of the market relations will contribute to creating an attractive environment for the flow of capital under investment opportunities in all sectors, and without exception as the promotion of fair competition as an engine of inclusive growth cannot be without application of the competition. These are the laws: antitrust law, the intellectual property law, the trademark protection law, the domestic protection law. And while all these laws contribute to labor and union and consumer protection in shaping market relations in any way that stimulates the regularity of the working environment, none of them mean nothing without this one law. The one law you've been looking for all this time. The one law, this is it. This is why we have not seen Article 8. They have not forged or enacted the Federal Court Act. In 2013, the Council of Representatives passed the Iraqi Federal Court Act, which forbids the Justice of the Supreme Court from also being the head of Judicial Council, and replaced him with the Chief Justice. But they didn't take all those intellectual property laws and shoved it into the federal government. See, the way a federal government usually works is they're in charge of taxes. Remember this year, they just started making them pay big time taxes. Social Security, remember that money they gave the citizens that were out of work? They gave them that like kind of stipend for 3 months. That's Social Security, kids. Medicare, they promised them free medicine and help for all that stuff. And they helped take care of their retirement. All those articles you see about retirement is what the federal government does. They're trying to enact the federal act. That's why we're not seeing this happen. It takes care of veterans and foreign affairs. The bottom line is, to ensure the stability of a country's currency, the central bank should be regulatory and authority in banking and monetary system. Contemporary central banks and government owned, but separate from their country's Ministry of Department of Finance. Understand this. The CBI does not need the GOI to go forward, but the stability of the GBI is everything for them going forward. So them not having a PM is not a reason for them not to reinstate the currency, but it's everything for them to wait to pass the laws so they can pass the currency. That's the truth. Now, the parliamentary finance discussed with the central bank governor the mechanism to selling the currency. See, people don't know this, but on, what date was this? 11/26/1919, Ali Al-Laq, the director of the central bank, went before the GOI. The Parliamentary Finance Committee is hosting today the central bank governor on the relationship and the director general of the tax to discuss the mechanism of selling the currency. Do you not get it? He's under investigation. Everything's about to go forward. Not because I wish it so, not because of some crazy outlandish tax thing or some weird thing, but because they've been doing this all along. And there's the evidence to show you everybody's being held accountable. And what's going to happen is they pass the Federal Act law, and with all that act, that the partnership, antitrust, the intellectual property trade, protection, the trademark law, and all the other laws that make it completely Article 8 compliant, and watch the laws and watch the budget, and then you will see them go forward. The information, that's the information. That's it. Without the Federal Act, nothing happens. But they're already told you the Federal Act is coming. It's already in the parliamentary notes. It's been there since November, early November 22nd. So it's already been read once. Electoral College has been twice. We're waiting on one more reading and two more readings on the other, which will happen this month. So don't sit here and tell me that, you know what, pity poor us, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen because once they do that, they can be compliant to international standard. And with that, kids, I am done. If you want one more bomb, I'll give you one more just because I love you and I think you guys should hear this. The Supreme Court issued a ruling on Article 140 Constitution, which sets out a process for normalization, census, and referendum the disputed areas of Iraq. A committee will be formed to follow up the implementation of the article by the federal government. So when the federal government's formed, it enacts Article 140.